Hi, everybody, and welcome to For the Purpose Of, the podcast about big trends, big ideas, and exciting news in the world of EdTech. I'm Ron Houtman.
I'm Sarah Wood.
And I'm Keith Tramper.
Today's special guest is Erin Hoekema, who works in our Regional Education Media Center, also a fun acronym of REMC. And she'll be talking about the REMC itself that we have here at Kent ISD, or REMC 8, what the organization is about, how we're connected to each other and to our locals, and what we can offer for you.
So just a special note, this is coming out a little bit later than we normally would. 2 of the 3 of our households got hit with COVID, so we got set back a little bit and we're trying to catch up. So apologize for the lateness, but we do have something really fun to share with you later in this episode. So I'm going to start us out with a question. This is one you got to think about a little bit, but what is your favorite life hack? And I'll go first here. One thing I learned from Kids Art Hub, by the way, a fantastic YouTube channel for learning how to draw, is when you fold the paper in half, start from the middle, like put your finger in the middle of that fold and then move your fingers outwards, and it will always make a perfect horizontal line. You won't have kind of that weird half folded shape. And then I have to throw this other one out there because my former students helped me figure this out. What's the best way to cut an onion without crying? They use butter knives to cut onions because you can't have real knives in school, right? So they were trying all the different ways to cut an onion so that you didn't cry. And the one that worked best is you cut off the ends and run it under cold water. And then when you go to cut the rest of it, it doesn't make you cry. It tames it down. Ron, what do you think?
Leaf blower is like the best life hack ever. If you get an electric leaf blower, like my nice Makita leaf blower, I cannot tell you how many times I use this thing during the year. When I got it, I was first told that, what are you ever going to do with that? And now the person who said that in my house is using it more than I am. So blowing the leaves off the deck, using it on the gutters to blow the leaves out of the gutter, cleaning up stuff out of the garage. It's great to have this thing because it makes life cleaning. It's so much better than that old fashioned brooms. What are those for? So leaf blower is like the best life hack ever. If you really want to get extreme, and I don't really suggest anybody try to do this, do not use it to clean the back of your refrigerator off, those coils with all the dust. Don't use it for that. There's a reason you can probably figure out from what I just said. Sarah.
Another creative use of leaf blowers that I just saw recently in the classroom actually is using them to build little hovercrafts, kind of with a hula hoop, and then having to design the bottom part so that it will get air, and then have the leaf blower just pointing down so it pushes you up off the ground. Obviously, probably works better with littles, but
yeah,
that's pretty
not
cool.
Me. I'm not going on that thing.
So my number one life hack, I'm about being resourceful. And so I have learned that you should never fight folding a fitted sheet. Like just let it win every time. It doesn't matter. It will get straightened out once you put it on the bed. So if it just ends up in a wadded ball, like totally fine. But for real, the thing that has like been life-changing for me is like when I'm making soup or boiling water or something like that, where all of a sudden it like bubbles up really quickly. If you put a wooden spoon across the top of your pot or pan, it will keep it from going over. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know if it absorbs it or what, but it won't boil over. So moving along here, we have an amazing service that is available to educators across the state of Michigan. And I feel like they deserve all the love for the services and learning that they provide. And so I am going to ask Ron, who has a very important role in this organization outside of Kent ISD, to share a little bit about the REMC Association of Michigan.
Yep. Thanks, Sarah. So the REMC, this is another fun education acronym. So it stands for Regional Education Media Center Association of Michigan. We just go by REMC. REMCs were created many, many years ago. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but I want to say in the 70s someplace. I think we just hit our 50-year anniversary of the REMCs. And they were created way back when things like films, like 16 millimeter films existed, film strips with record players that went bing, and all that other fun stuff. Those were the media that we might use in our classrooms. As things have evolved, we've gone from those 16 millimeter films to, DVDs, laser discs, VHS tapes, et cetera, et cetera. These libraries, as they were set up in the very beginning, were there kind of just like regular libraries where purchasing educational media is highly, highly resource intensive, also known as expensive. The REMCs were set up in a way to create education-based libraries. So you'd have a lot of education media that would get checked out to local districts. They were regionalized because you can't have just one REMC location across the state and really hope to get stuff from perhaps Grand Rapids to the Upper Peninsula. So we've got lots of REMCs that are set up across the state of Michigan, and they serve different regions. So REMC 8, just as an example, we're Kent, Ione, and Montcalm County. And you can look at remc.org under Find Your Local REMC, and you'll see the center that serves you. So they act as a augmentation to your local intermediate school district for the most part. A long time ago, they were kind of standalone, but now they're very integrated into an intermediate school district in Michigan. So some of the services that REMC exists to offer, it's all about education, and it's about providing resources to educators. So 3 big things. One is classroom resources that we provide. These are curriculum, lesson plans, activities that can build knowledge, teach technology skills, and to help our students become safe and secure online and good digital citizens. The second big piece that we do is professional learning around empowering teachers to make sure that they are keeping up on basically anything you can think of with regard to their education practice. So, one of the things that we know about education, we always want to improve our practice. And we do that with free virtual courses. So teachers can earn many times up to 10 state continuing contact hours with these different courses that are offered, again, for free. And there's usually 6 to 10 of those offered every month of the year. You can find those, again, also at remc.org. And the last really, really big one that a lot of people know about, but there's a whole lot of people that don't know about, the REMC Save Project. So this is a statewide, best way to call it is a bid process. So there's a state law that says when schools buy equipment over a certain number, they have to actually put out competitive bids to buy something. So I'll just give you a really quick example. Say a district wants to buy 20,000 Chromebooks. Without the REMC Save Project and us doing all that bidding for them, the school would have to develop a request for proposals and quotes, publish it, let it sit out there for 60 to 90 days, then get all their bids at a bid opening, usually a physical location, open it up, evaluate those, which takes another 3 or 4 weeks or so. And I don't know about you all, but there's not that many weeks in the summer to do all this, to get all these devices and to be able to deploy them. So the REMC Save Project, we as an organization put out specifications for devices in all kinds of different categories, get bids from vendors year round for those things or in different periods of time, and then publish those findings of those quotes. So we act as the bidding agent for local school districts. And from the state law, districts don't have to go through that lengthy process. They can just go right to the REMC catalog with the published prices and buy things directly, which really speeds things up, especially when you think about, the 2 months or so that we're off in the summertime, which is the time where most IT departments are doing a tremendous amount of work to get ready for the next school year. So with those 3 things, those are the real big pieces that the REMC Association provides. And the best way to find out about all that stuff is to go to remc.org and click Find Your Local REMC, and you'll see your REMC director listed there. And in this case, for REMC 8, that would be me, Ron. And if you're in another area of Michigan, make sure to check that out. You would be amazed at the amount of resources and especially the knowledge that REMC director. And the next thing we're going to talk about, which is our RITs, those are REMC Regional Instructional Technology Specialists, can offer you too. And we'll turn that over to Keith, and Keith's going to talk a little bit about what the RITs do.
Yeah, so as Ron said, the RITS stands for REMC Regional Instructional Technology Specialists. It's a lot to just say that Essentially, these are the people at the county level that are providing instructional tech services. Sometimes that's also a director, but REMC directors don't necessarily have to touch on the ed tech side of things. Where Ron is our director at REMC 8, Sarah and I are the RITS people at REMC 8. And I bet if you went to remc.org/about/RITS to look up all the RITS around the state, you would recognize a lot of those names and faces. We're heavily involved in a lot of different organizations and providing a lot of the professional learning that's happening around the state in the realm of ed tech. It's an awesome, eclectic group of people. I know we're all doing ed tech things, but we all wear lots of different hats. So we have all kinds of different angles on how ed tech is used in assistive technologies or the CTE realm or STEM or computer science or social studies or math. There's so many different crossovers that happen with this RITS group, and it's just a fantastic group of people to work with. So next time you need some professional learning, definitely check out remc.org to see what's going on there, and check in with your local RITS person and see what they're up to. We know you're busy. We also know that you like our podcast. So we created Podcast PDX for you. Register now for free to start earning sketches for listening to a podcast you already love. We'll send you a reflection question whenever we publish a new episode. All you have to do is reflect and respond to earn sketches. Engage when you want, take a break when you need to, and save yourself some time. Register now at bit.ly/FTPOPDX. That's bit.ly/FTPOPDX. This episode's reflection question is, which services does REMC offer that you're interested in? We look forward to seeing you in the For the Purpose of PDX community.
And welcome back. We are going to move into our guest interview, and we are so excited to have Erin Hoekema with us from REMC 8 as one of the media specialists, and she is here to share some of the awesome things that REMC has to share, some of their services and resources. So we're just going to start a little bit. Erin, could you introduce yourself and your background?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. As Sarah said, I am one of two media specialists back working in REMC. We are REMC number 8 here, housed within Kent ISD, and serve Kent, Ionia, and Montcalm counties. And my background is I was a media specialist in Kentwood. So I actually came from working as a media specialist working with books and children. And now I have transitioned to working with equipment and educators. So kind of very similar hat.
I'm curious if you could just share a little bit about, because people see your name, hear about REMC services and that, but as the media specialist, what do you kind of do in your role back in the REMC area?
Absolutely. So Isabel and I serve Kent ISD staff, but we also serve educators in Kent, Ionia, and Montcalm in two different ways. So the first way is through our Educator Resource Center. So the goal in having our Educator Resource Center is to seek to empower teachers by offering tools and resources that assist them in creating high quality, engaging instructional materials and environments. And we do that through three different offerings. So we do offer laminating service. As a Kent, Ionia, or a Montcalm County educator, you may bring in, drop off, or send via courier if your school has courier service, laminating to us. We do the laminating for you. And then we would bill your district if that's your choice. You can pay with a P card, etc. We also offer poster printing services. So we can take your print ready PDF and enlarge that. So that could be something that you make up. We have a lot of educators submitting classroom job posters, that type of thing. We also take PDFs that you have permission to utilize and enlarge those. So those can be placed in your classroom or in your buildings. And the third way that we support educators through that resource center is by providing access to our Ellison die cut room. And the die cut room contains over 1,500 different dies, along with 8 die cut machines. And what you would do is you would bring your own materials in or purchase materials from us. Anything that scissors can cut, an Ellison die can, or an Ellison machine can cut. And you would make an appointment, come in and use the room, and you could, use that in a lot of different ways. You could use recycled plastic to make strawberries. You could make bulletin board materials. A lot of our educators will come in before a holiday break and make little take-home bags. So the options are really endless there. And then the other way that Isabel and I, as REMC media specialists, support Kent County educators is we serve as the librarians for 7 different equipment libraries on behalf of different Kent ISD departments. So we have an EdTech library, we have a STEM library, science, health, MTSS, special education assessments, assistive technology. So we have a lot of equipment that's available to borrow for free. And as part of that, we have these super knowledgeable consultants like yourselves that are available to go out and support the implementation of that equipment or assist in lessons surrounding that equipment. So we've got a lot to offer.
I love it. And I have to say, if you've never been back in the REMC area at Kent ISD, and I say back because you have to go to the back of the building to get in there, they have so many things that it is not just like shelves of resources and that, but they have examples of how you can use these resources and they have them on display. And I think once you go back there, you have a bigger picture of, oh my goodness, there are so many things that my REMC can provide for me. It's really awesome.
Absolutely. And the other thing that we're really proud of is that in order to see some of these resources, you don't, we love to have you in for a tour. Absolutely call and schedule for that. But we also have an online catalog that features all of our equipment along with search terms for each of our different libraries to make it really easy to see what equipment we have to borrow, as well as a website for our Education Resource Center. So a lot of these things you can kind of pre-plan before you even come in and see what we have available online.
I just love hearing you share about the services and things that you guys have available for educators because it's just amazing. And just even hearing you talk about it, like I can hear your passion for service and the resources that you provide. That's just my take, but I'm just curious if you can maybe share a little bit about why do you do what you do in your role?
I'm really honored to serve educators in this way. And the way that my partner, Isabel, and I think about it is by serving educators, we're serving students. And I'll give you a specific example. On one of the first days when my partner was starting, she was getting some items from our assistive technology department ready to go out to a student. And one of the things we do is we test those items. We make sure batteries are in there, they're clean, they're ready to go. And she was really moved in seeing what was going to go out to that student. And I was able to explain to her how that special educator and the speech language pathologist or the OT might work with the tool with the student and how it might enlarge that student's world. And that's kind of how we think about all of the services we provide. We love to help educators. Obviously that's our passion, but we know that trickles down to the students, and that's really exciting.
That's awesome. And I think that's great that you said that too, because the students are always at the center of everything that we do. And that sometimes we might look at it of, oh, I'm just, cutting out things in the Ellison room using die cuts and stuff like that. But that makes a huge difference for some students seeing those different things in the classroom, in the hallways in their building. It really does make a huge impact.
Absolutely.
So one thing, Erin, that I don't know if a lot of people really know about the REMC is, again, the Assistive Technology Library. I just wonder if you could explain kind of big picture why we have an assistive technology library and why it helps students out in our area.
Absolutely. So, our assistive technology library exists so that educators working with special education students birth through 26, so we support that wide range of students and educators working with the students, providers working with the students in trialing equipment. So, let's say I'm working with a student who I think might really benefit from a particular type of communication device. And we know how tight budgets are in schools. So I go to my administrator and I say, hey, I think that this would be a great fit for this student, but I have no proof. So that's where we come in. We have hundreds and hundreds of different types of devices, from switches, access switches, to switch adapted toys, to sensory self-regulation items, communication devices, study and organization, for educators to borrow. They trial on a short-term basis, so typically 30 to 60 days. They gather data around that trial. Did this work well for the student? What parts worked well? What parts might not have? And based on that data, they can go back to their administrator and say, hey, not only do I think this would be a great fit and really change this student's life, but I have some data to support that. And if it doesn't work, that's just as valuable. Now we can rule that out and move on to the next thing. So it's a really powerful thing to be able to allow educators to try different things and meet the student where they are, as opposed to starting with the equipment. One of the sayings that we have back in the assistive technology library is students first, tools last. So we want to meet the student where they are, not have to fit the student to a particular piece of equipment. And the AT library allows us to do that.
That's amazing. I mean, just the access and the mentality around we're here to help kids, and we're here to support teachers in finding the right tools to help those students out. I know, like, going beyond the AT side of things, the assistive technology side of things, there's also additional materials for, you mentioned STEM, you mentioned EdTech. What are some of, like, the most common things that get checked out that people, like, just are excited about trying in their classrooms before they go about buying something to work with students on?
Great question. So, a big hot ticket item this year are our drone kits. So, we have drone kits that are available that not only come with the drones, but with the tablets required to make the drones work as well. So, that's a really valuable resource. It allows teachers to trial that if they want to try to implement something, but it also allows them to borrow on a short-term basis. Something else that I'm really excited about to have back in the STEM and the EdTech libraries are our STEM book kits. These are picture books about different areas of STEM that can be integrated into different STEM lessons. And again, all these resources are free, which is really amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the best part of your job?
I really like hearing the stories when items are returned or when somebody is leaving our Educator Resource Center. I had somebody return an assistive technology device yesterday who kind of teared up and said that the device that we had loaned, they had borrowed for the first 60 days and collected some data. And then the program decided to order the device. We extended the loan so that the student would continue to have access to that kind of life-changing communication device. And then the device was returned back to us once that new device was in place. So that's always really powerful to hear that. As a REMC media specialist, I have a really tiny part in helping these students find their voice in this instance. I love hearing when educators come in and see the Ellison room for the first time and are completely blown away by the vast number and array of different types of dies that we have, and then what they end up doing with them. I'll have somebody email me and say, hey, I actually sent a packet home with students over break and they were able to do this. And it really allowed us to extend educational opportunities, over a holiday break or over a spring break. That gives me a great sense of pride that I'm able to assist educators in the amazing work that they're doing with students.
Well, thank you for sharing about those, Erin. I think there's just so many things that it can almost feel a little overwhelming when you walk in. I remember that feeling of when I first saw that Ellison room, like, I don't know how many years ago. We'll say a decade. We'll be generous with that.
That sounds right, Sarah.
Yeah. um, but that feeling that you got, like, you walk into this magical world of so many options. It's like a room of creativity. Like, that's my comfort area. I was just like, oh, I don't even know where to begin. But then once you start looking around and seeing some of the examples that you have up on the wall of things that have done, all of a sudden then you're like, I'm good. This is fun. You kind of get into the groove.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, And I guess I have one kind of closing question here for you. I'm going to ask you what you would say is a secret gem or of a resource or a service that REMC provides, but I would like to share what I think my secret gem is. And I think the secret gem of how smoothly everything goes back in REMC is the work that you and Isabel do, because you are so organized and you are such kind people. But I think that really opens the door for people to continue to use those resources that you have available back there. So I just have to say, I think you guys are little secret gems back there.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. And you can tell, in speaking to me, how excited I am to be able to offer this resource and to be able to assist educators in any way that we can. Always, always excited when somebody contacts us for the first time and are interested in utilizing any of our resources. I think as far as untapped gems, I would say our strawberries are a great option. It kind of mixes both of the areas that Isabel and I support. So if you're not familiar with what strawberries are little connectors that you use to connect straws, hence the name, and you cut them into different shapes, creating almost like gears that would connect the different straws so you can make different items. And the fun part to me about that is you use the Ellison room to use recycled materials. You might have some milk jugs, some old detergent containers, anything plastic with a little bit of stiffness. You cut out these strawberry connectors in the Ellison room, or you can rent a strawberry kit, borrow a strawberry kit that we send you a die cut machine and the dies. But then you can use those in STEM lessons in innumerable ways. So that's really exciting. And that was very, very popular for a while. And then COVID hit, and I think people have forgotten about those. So I would be excited to see those go out a little bit more.
I love that. Strawberries, I feel like, just have endless possibilities for what you can do with them. So thank you so much for joining us today, Erin, and sharing about some of the services and resources that REMC has to provide for educators in the REMC 8 area. I hope that we see some new faces or you get some new questions, because you just have so much to offer.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I hope people hear this and reach out. You can reach us by going to the Kent ISD website, kentisd.org. Under educators, there's a REMC button that you push on that, and you will go right to our page and our contact information. I can also be reached via email at Erin, ERIN, Hoekema, HOEKEMA, all one word, at kentisd.org. And I would love to assist in setting up appointments for people to come in and tour, or setting up library accounts so people can see even online what we have available. Happy to do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
That's it for this episode of For the Purpose Of. As we head to Thanksgiving break, we want to let you know that we are thankful for you. Thanks for being a listener. And also a special thanks to Erin Hoekema for taking the time out of her day to share. As always, we welcome your feedback and appreciate you sharing the For the Purpose Of podcast with a friend. You can email us at edtech@kentisd.org or find all things edtech at bit.ly/imedtech. Catch you next time on For the Purpose Of. This podcast is a service of Kent ISD. It is produced by Ron Houtman, Sarah Wood, and Keith Tramper. Our theme music is Neon Nights by Scott Holmes Music, and our ad music is Vienna Beat by Blue Dot Sessions.
Oh, elephant chews watermelon vacuums.